This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, climate change protesters bring rail operations to a halt this morning, stopping coal from being transported north. Day 2 of the Dunedin City Council's 10-year plan discussions is set to be a long one going into the night. And high school pupils in Central Otago had the chance to see behind the scenes at one of the area's orchards. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Climate activists brought operations at the Dunedin railway station to a halt this morning. The protesters are claiming a partial victory after halting all coal shipments for the day.
Wagons full of coal parked on a siding at Dunedin's rail yards this morning after protest action from Extinction Rebellion Otipoti. It's the second time this year activists have taken action against a shipment of coal going through Dunedin. 16-year-old Extinction Rebellion spokeswoman Yana Althea feels like today is mission accomplished.
We have, however, achieved the objective of locking ourselves onto the tracks. There are 2 people locked on, and we are effectively stopping the train from passing through Dunedin.
Around 15 activists from the organisation began a protest around 6:30 this morning, with about 7 people on the tracks and 2 of them physically clipped onto the tracks wearing face masks, which read, "Say no to coal." Protesters say they negotiated with KiwiRail so perishable items in containers could make the trip to Port Otago, as long as no coal trucks were attached. Yana Althea says the government needs to step in and not let a business it owns ship coal across the nation.
And it's unacceptable that a KiwiRail owned by a government that has declared a climate emergency is still using coal and is still transporting coal.
KiwiRail Dunedin Operations Manager Jamie McFarland says the protest has caused a massive disruption to its service, not only locally, but to the wider South Island network. The coal from Bathurst Resources' Takitimu mine in Southland was destined for Fonterra's Clandeboine milk factory in Canterbury. Police were called to the protest, but no arrests were made. In Dunedin, The South Today.
A car and truck have collided in Invercargill yesterday afternoon. Fortunately, the accident was minor with no ambulance being required. The collision happened in wet weather at the intersection of Spey and Levin Streets near the town centre at about 4 p.m. The crash resulted in the car being squeezed between a rubbish truck and the side of the road. Both vehicles had left the scene before 5 p.m. Day 2 of the Dunedin City Council's 10-year plan discussions featured much back and forth between different council factions. Mid-morning, one councillor was heard to use the expression Church of Boomer in reference to an old way of thinking.
Debate at the morning session of the Dunedin City Council's draft 10-year plan hearings mainly concerned transport, with Councillor O'Malley referring to some at the table relitigating and saying he felt like they were going down a rabbit hole, having a host of unnecessary conversations. Around lunchtime, it was the turn of the Parks and Recreation team to face elected representatives. Councillor Carmen Houlihan asked Robert West if the old Mosgiel pool would still be open during construction of the new one, to which he said no.
Well, we will have major road, we'll have some road changes on Gordon Road. So again, we're compounding the fact of having health and safety issues. The tender board, we made a decision, but that was the safest option.
Also on the agenda is a new South Dunedin library, which in draft form is set to include a recording studio and an atrium meeting space. As councillors adjourned for the afternoon tea break around 2:45, one seasoned city representative believed this would be a long meeting going into the night. In Dunedin, The South Today.
Wakatipu is likely to get an official name change to reflect the traditional Māori pronunciation. The correct pronunciation is Whakatipu, and when spelt an H is included after the W. Queenstown Lakes District councillors will this week vote on a wellbeing strategy, reinforcing the aims of the council's Māori language policy. It includes using te reo in documentation, signs, public building names and open spaces. Ngāi Tahu elder Sir Tipene O'Regan told the Otago Daily Times while the misspelling was not offensive, it did need changing. A public seminar will be held at the Frankton Library next week to discuss the history of the name Whakatipu. High school pupils in Central Otago are getting a chance to learn what goes on behind the scenes in the district's fruit orchards. The pupils are part of an intern scheme organised by Southern Horticulture.
While many pupils have been enjoying a summer of fun, Charlie Shaw has spent about 6 weeks on an internship at Strode Road Orchard in Earnscleugh.
I've been put all over the place. I've been picking, I've been packing, I've been picking up buckets. My main job in the pack house is making sure the machines have enough fruit to keep running. Cleaning buckets is not my most favourite job, but it's a job that has to be done.
He's been learning how Central Otago fruit gets delivered around the globe.
Every fruit's different, so cherries, apricots, they all have to be processed differently and packaged differently, and they all get sent to different places around New Zealand and around the world.
The effects of weather has been one of the challenges.
The challenge with the big rainfall that we had was the cherries expand and they swell and they split, which means they can't be sold. So here at Strode Road we stopped cherries and now we're just focusing completely on stone fruit.
The internship was organised by Southern Horticultural Careers Progression Manager Chelsea Donnelly.
In Central Otago there are 4 interns in place on orchards. There are 3 university students and 1 high school student doing the internship, and it's really exciting innovation happening in horticulture and plenty of jobs, careers that are really exciting, things that you might not have thought of. It's not just picking and packing fruit, there is marketing, management, exports, logistics, so trying to highlight and show the pathways that exist.
In Alexandra for the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, the township of Little River on Banks Peninsula was bustling with visitors for its annual AMP show, and a Dunedin teacher receives a national award for their dedication to coaching. So catch this and more after the break.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
TV, our favourite babysitter, but it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Welcome back. A Southland man has been fined after breaching the COVID-19 lockdown and licking his fingers, then wiping them on his workplace reception window. Michael James Murdoch was found guilty last year on a charge of breaching lockdown rules. In March, Murdoch and his partner tested positive for COVID-19, so was required to undertake quarantine for 28 days. His application for discharge without conviction was denied by Judge Russell Walker in Invercargill today, who ordered him to pay a fine of $1,500 plus court costs. At the time of the incident, he was a dog control officer for the Invercargill City Council. Judge Russell Walker told Murdoch his behaviour had been juvenile. The township of Little River on Banks Peninsula was bustling with visitors from across Canterbury for this year's A&P show. Sheep were shown in one of the first events to feature them after events were cancelled last year due to COVID-19.
Now, in its 109th year, the annual Banks Peninsula A&P show took advantage of fine weather as a large crowd enjoyed a day out. Farmers and sheep breeders from across Canterbury got to catch up and show their sheep after a number of shows had been cancelled last year due to COVID-19. Almost 200 sheep were exhibited at this year's wool section, which was sponsored by Cavalier Bremworth and Mainland Wools NZ. A new section this year was poultry, which received good support from the Christchurch Poultry Bantam and Pigeon Club. Cattle were once again cancelled due to Mycoplasma bovis, but children's pet calves made a welcome return. In Little River, the South Today.
A Dunedin teacher has received a national award recognising nearly a lifetime of coaching school hockey. Dr. Murray Thompson of Logan Park High School has been coaching the sport every year for almost 40 years.
Logan Park High School teacher Murray Thompson has received a national award for his services to school sports, in his case hockey. It's a sport he not only coaches but can also umpire if need be.
One year they played on Anzac Day, and I was in a pipe band in those days too, and I remember turning up to coach my girls in full kilt, which was quite entertaining until the umpires didn't turn up, so I not only had to coach in full kilt, I had to umpire a game in full Highland dress. So.
Dr. Thompson spent nearly his whole working life coaching hockey in his spare time.
I started coaching hockey in 1983 when I got my first teaching job, and I've been coaching it ever since. So I started teaching in Milton, so I coached in there for 3 years. I came to Logan Park, I've coached here since then basically. I had a year overseas and coached in Southampton, and I coached when I had a year off to do my master's degree, and I kept coming back here to coach then too. So I just, for like 38, 39 years I've been coaching kids in hockey.
The school now has 5 hockey teams, and he believes team sports can help the development of young people.
Team sports are dying everywhere, and I think it's because we've got that sort of cult of the individual. So it's such a good learning experience for kids to be in teams and understand that even if they've done really well, they've got to actually work with other people to make the team do really well. It's not about me being a star, it's about us being a star, us linking together. And I think that's one of the most important lessons for kids to learn, is that it's us, not me.
Dr. Thompson also recently received an award in recognition of his teaching of chemistry. In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, Tourism New Zealand encourages people to get involved with the summer tourism campaign on social media, and we have tomorrow's weather for you, so see you after the break.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Welcome to Alex Campbell Menswear. Our 3 stores have no shortage of stock. Check these out. We've got the Dunedin print t-shirts. Check out our zillions of short sleeve shirts. These are crackers. They iron themselves in the wash. Iron cheater they're called. And there's some really cool polo shirts. Look at all the bright colours. And of course there's no shortage of shorts. This is always one of our brightest corners. Our long sleeve fashion shirts. Jeans, casual trousers, dress trousers, you name it, we have you covered.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So if you're shopping for your family or yourself, come and see Alex Campbell Menswear stores. We're full of stock.
Thanks for staying with us. Tourism New Zealand is encouraging people to post something new about their summer travels on social media. The campaign includes a video filmed in part on Wanaka's Roy's Peak.
Okay, easy does it, sir. Lower those arms nice and slow.
I've seen all this before. Yeah, we all have. But this summer, we're clamping down on anyone travelling under the social influence, okay?
The light-hearted video shows a tourism officer trying to stop people from posting online the same types of photos as everyone else. There are already almost 70,000 images of Roy's Peak Summit on the photo sharing platform Instagram. Tourism New Zealand suggests people should share images of new and different places and activities across the country. The video is part of the Do Something New New Zealand campaign, launched after lockdown last year, and will run until the end of summer. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. Climate change protesters brought rail operations to a halt this morning, stopping coal from being transported north. Day 2 of the Dunedin City Council's 10-year plan discussions is set to be a long one, going into the night. And high school pupils in Central Otago had the chance to see behind the scenes at one of the area's orchards. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Hayden Meikle.
Good evening, Mel. How are you?
Oh, very good. I believe this is our first encounter in this year.
And we're nearly into February. God, the year's going quickly already, isn't it?
A bit too fast for me, really.
Yeah, a bit like that. And it's look, it's been a busy week actually. And Council, long-term plan, obviously, and our 2 fine reporters, Grant Miller and Emma Perry, are there all day, every day at these planning meetings. So I know a little bit about what we are to expect, but I'm sure things will develop during the evening. So. Social housing, been a huge topic of course for a long time now, starting to get to the crunch stage. The council today talking about putting out for consultation, spending, I think it's 20 million over 10 years. I think that was the final figure they looked at, into more social housing. So that's about all I know. I look forward to talking to our reporters to see what more there is, but unsurprisingly, housing and the lack of it in the city is a massive issue and something that needs to be addressed, along with a few other things.
Yeah, well, rents seem to be just going up and up.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, isn't it? Pretty tough. And water, of course, is the other huge thing. So there's this backlog in stormwater and wastewater sections around the city, and so they've been discussing exactly how much needs to be spent for a lot of this backlog. It needs to be done. It's stuff that's been put off. It has to be done now. And obviously that will be contributing to the very large debt figure the council is looking at. But they're putting that out for consultation and saying it kind of needs to be done now. So we'll have probably front page and a whole page inside and looking at various council things. So to sort of lighten that up, we've got a lovely story on page 1 on a long-serving employee at H&J Smith. So Saturday's D-Day for H&J, closing its doors, 80 odd years I think. And we've chatted to one of their longest serving employees, a woman in the, I think, the cosmetics department of the store, looking back over the changes, and with a great photo in fact from 20, 30 odd years ago at Arthur Barnett's, as it then was, in the Meridian. So that points to another yarn with the chief executive of the company talking about its future. So.
It's going to be sad. It's been an institution for so long.
Yeah, it really has. It's always sad to see a business go, isn't it? So, and as we've seen, another sort of coal train protest today. People out there on the train tracks. I don't think Kiwi Rail were too chuffed to see them.
I don't think they would be at all.
Mel, but still we've got the protesters obviously talking about why they've done it, what their view is, and Kiwi Rail responding and talking about the situation. So, and another really good yarn from the fire service, a fire chief locally, talking about people's behaviour at emergency scenes. So obviously, a crash or whatever, the fire service is often involved. And they're talking about they can't believe the number of incidents where people drive stupidly past, where people drive onto the footpath to get around cones, even to the point where I think a fire officer was actually clipped by one of these cars. So I'm looking forward to reading that story and hearing what their concerns are. It's disappointing, but interesting all the same. So
yeah, so there's definitely a wealth of stories in there tomorrow.
Plenty of good stuff, Mel.
Fantastic, and you can catch all of that in tomorrow's ODT. And now it's time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view of Dunedin's historic municipal chambers. Looking at the situation, another cold showery day tomorrow with southwesterly airflow slowly easing. But a large anticyclone moves over the South Island this weekend, bringing fine weather. Starting off at the northwest, it's partially cloudy with 18 degrees for Greymouth and Westport. And on the eastern side, mostly sunny in Blenheim with 19 degrees and partially cloudy in Nelson with 18. Moving down the east coast, cloudy skies for Cantabrians with 16 degrees in Kaikoura, 15 in Christchurch and 16 in Ashburton. To the southern towns, it's 12 degrees for all centres with decreasing southwesterlies, showers clearing in the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore. Moving over to central Otago. Moderate southwesterlies and the weather's becoming fine with 15 degrees in Queenstown, Alexandra and Wanaka. Te Anau can expect decreasing southwesterlies, showers clearing and a high of 12 degrees. To the northern towns, moderate southwesterlies, cloudy skies with 14 degrees in Timaru and 13 in Oamaru. Inland, moderate southwesterlies becoming fine with 16 degrees in Twizel and Amarama. And in Dunedin, showers and fresh to strong cold southwesterlies tonight with an overnight low of 6. You'd almost think it was winter again. Cloudy and very cold tomorrow with showers for most of the day. Strong gusty southwesterlies, but they're set to clear in the evening. A high of 12 and a low of 7. Cloud breaking with sunny periods increasing on Saturday. Still rather cold with southwesterlies slowly dying out. A high of 14 and a low of 7. And in Invercargill, showers tonight with strong cold southwesterlies and a very cold low for this time of year of 5. Showers clearing slowly later in the day tomorrow with strong very cold southwesterlies easing gradually. A high of 11 and a low of 7. Becoming fine and sunny on Saturday with cold southwesterlies dying out, looking at a high of 14 and a low of 7. And that's all for our news this Thursday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.